Hey there, everybody. So glad you're here with me. Welcome to Raw Parenting Unfiltered. I'm BJ Muir, heart-based parenting coach, and I'm so glad you're here with me tonight. Wow, what a great week. I'm excited. All my kids are home. We had several kids out on the mission field this summer, and they were away for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So we're excited. They're all back. They got back a couple weeks ago, but then some of them had some other little week-long trips and things like that they were doing. So I'm excited. We're all back and we've got everybody under one roof. I'm not going to lie. I do miss some of the quiet that we had there for a little while. I miss the earlier bedtime I used to get when my teenagers were out of the house and on the mission field. But I also miss the noise. And I miss the dinner tables where I have to say, hey, can we quiet down? It's getting a little loud in here. I really miss that. I miss the joking that happens when you got older kids in the house too. So I'm so excited that they're back, and I'm excited because let's see, today's Wednesday right now, but Friday we have Muir Family Day. If you don't do a family day, let me tell you a little bit about it. So first of all, I have to give full credit to my wonderful wife, Rachel. It's her little baby that she's created, Family Day. And she is totally lifting it right off of Sally and Clay Clarkston. If you don't know them, they are Christian authors who also talk a lot about the heart. And Sally is really great about instilling memories and building family memories. And so she created this idea of Family Day. And so Rachel read about it or heard it on one of Sally's podcasts and sort of a couple years ago started kind of creating Muir Family Day. So Muir Family Day is Friday. So I'm excited because of a couple of things. One, it's always lots of fun. Two, there's always really good food. And three, we always have some good adventures and laughs. So that's what's getting me excited. What's getting you excited? Put it in the comments down below, whether you're excited because you're just having a really great week, or maybe you're excited because school has started and your kid's doing great at school, or you're excited because you're still in summer mode because you're in one of the places like me where we haven't started school yet. Go ahead, put that in the comments down below. I'd love to read all about it. My eyes are moving around here because I'm looking for where the questions are for tonight. There they are. Wonderful. If you have a parenting question as well, I would love to get it. You can go ahead and drop your parenting question in the link, and I will keep my eyes over on that screen over there. And if I get a parenting question while we're live, I'll answer it. Otherwise, if I get one in the middle of the week, I will make sure to put it in my list of things I'm going to answer. And it'll come back one of these weeks on one of these live sessions. So why don't I take a look at the first question I've got here. Here we go. My 5-year-old has really big emotions about transitions. For example, we had to leave the pool the other day, and he started whining and saying he didn't want to leave. I asked him to redo how he responded, and he complied, but you could tell his heart wasn't really in it. He kind of mumbled, okay. Then, once we were in the car, oh boy, look at this. Once we were in the car, he saw my laptop and said, I hope it gets wet and ruined. I could hear this little 5-year-old for sure. How do I handle that kind of disrespectful comment when it comes after the fact like that? So what's going on here? Let's take a look at, first of all, thank you so much for such a rich description of what was going on. I can really see you at the pool and in the car with your kid. A lot's going on here that's going really well, but your kid's also telling you we need to do some more things. So let's take a look at just the scenario. We're at the pool. You've told your kid it's time to go. And your kid is kind of whining, complaining, I don't want to go. Normal, natural responses. What do we know is going on in the heart? Your kid's struggling with disappointment. That's okay. It's okay to feel disappointed that we're leaving the pool. The pool's fun. I don't want to leave it. I'm disappointed. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to help your child learn how to more appropriately express that disappointment. So using the redo is okay. You could have done exactly what you did and said, whoa, that's not the right way to respond. Try that again with respect or something like that. That's okay. You're using the firmness tool when we look at the different heart tools available to us. And again, perfectly legitimate parenting decision. What we learn afterwards, though, is that it seems like that wasn't necessarily what met him where he was at. There might be some other kids where all you had to say was that, and the kid genuinely recognized, "Oh, yeah, that isn't the best way to say that. Maybe I should fix that up." And I imagine a kid who would respond well to using a redo in this situation probably is a little bit older. Probably a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old has a better chance. They can still respond this way too, but they have a better chance of responding that way. 5-year-old might have a hard time. That doesn't mean we never redo things with 5-year-old. It just means in this scenario, for our kid here, this wasn't the best response. And so this, we look back and say, okay, that's not what my kid needed in that moment. So what did my kid need in that moment? Well, that's where I'm getting a picture of that child sitting in the car. You see, we're getting to see that child's attitude, and attitudes are windows into the heart. So what we see is we've got a child who has a bad attitude here because it's counterproductive to family life, counterproductive for him. And he's still struggling with this disappointment. He's frustrated. Maybe he's starting to feel a little bit of anger. Those are okay emotions to feel. We want to help him work through those things. And so we're fine in the moment, but let's go back to the pool. What could we do differently? And if you've got some ideas, feel free to throw them in the chat box as well, even if you're watching this on replay. But what can we do differently? Well, a couple of things. First, if we know our child struggles with transitions, let's try at times to give him a heads up. Hey, we're going to be leaving in about 5 minutes. That starts to prepare his heart for the transition. You see, when he's going through that transition, his heart is struggling with that disappointment. He's sort of mourning the loss of the pool. And think about how when you and I go through sad times and when we're genuinely going through a mourning process, we go through the stages of grief. Excuse me. We go through disappointment, anger, disbelief, all the different stages. And so your child's kind of going through that when we say it's time to leave the pool. So if we say it a few minutes earlier, it lets the heart start going through that process a little bit earlier. So when we get to actually needing to leave, our child has a better chance of responding the right way. Now, I say that knowing full well this kid can still respond negatively if we do that. And I also know we can't always give our kids the 5-minute heads up. That's not realistic, and we can't parent that way all the time. Our kid needs to be challenged at times with just a, hey, we're leaving. But we're kids. And so when our child responds like this, it's very easy for us to get frustrated, for us to get annoyed at this, to look at this as an interruption to life rather than as an opportunity to shape the heart. When your child responds like this, I want you to say to yourself, ooh, I have an opportunity to shape my child's heart. And you're going to laugh at yourself for saying that, just like I'm laughing as I'm saying it right now, because we don't normally think about that. We look at our children's misbehavior as if it's an interruption to our parenting, when in fact it is parenting. And we need to accept that that's part of it. So let's talk about this. What could we do differently? We tried the redo with just firmness, and it didn't seem to go okay. It seems like he was holding on to residual disappointment or frustration later on in the car, which tells us we need to do some more work up front. And so I'm going to suggest that we still use the redo. However, we pair it with a deeper connectedness and relationship. Relationship is another heart tool that God's given us. And we also know when we are connecting with our children, we're also helping them with felt safety and we're helping them with regulation. Connection supports is foundational to self-regulation and felt safety. So in that moment, we can look at that child, and when we say, hey, it's time to get going, maybe we even gave them the 5 minutes head up, but we still get this, oh man, I don't want to go, or whatever the attitude is. Instead of saying, whoops, try that again, we're going to get down on his level. He's 5 years old. We're going to get down on his level. We're going to look at him in the eyes. If he's a hugger, we're going to say something like, wow, this seems like it's really hard for you. Do you want a hug? If he's not a hugger, we're still going to get down his level. We're going to look him in the eyes. We're going to say, hey, let me see your eyes. We might even hold our hands out and say, let me see your hands. But we're going to connect with this kid right now. And we're just going to say something like, wow, you're really disappointed about having to go, aren't you? We're not saying his response was correct. We're not saying it's okay to yell at mommy at the pool. We're not saying any of that. We're just saying, hey, you're feeling this way, aren't you? We're seeing him. Just like when we struggle, when you and I struggle with our emotions, when we're frustrated that life's not working out the way we want it to, when we're disappointed that things went this way, Jesus does not look down from heaven and say, boy, would you get a grip, BJ? Like, I'm going to solve that problem in a year, or I'm going to solve that problem at the end of the day or the end of the week. Like, you need to just fix it up already, BJ. Like, that's not what he does. He understands BJ's human and he's struggling right now. And he's so wonderful that he comes down and he comforts and he connects and he says something like, wow, BJ, this is really hard for you, isn't it? And I feel seen by him. And so I want to do that for my kid. I want to just say to my kid, wow, this is really hard for you right now, isn't it? And in that moment, my kid knows mommy's on my side. Daddy's on my side in this right now. And at that point, we're going to look at our child and say, I get it. And we're going to use one of those strategies that helps our kids in the moment to calm down, whether that's, again, a hug, taking a deep breath. For a 5-year-old, I might tell them to cup their hands and pretend they're holding a slice of pizza and smell the pizza with your nose really deeply and then blow the pizza cool, something like that. For older kids who are 15, I'm not smelling pizza, right? But we're going to do something to kind of calm down. A couple jumping jacks, whatever it takes. Let's just kind of reset here. And then we're going to say something to this kid. This is what I'm showing you is what I call calm. Connect is C, A is attune, L is lean on God's truth, and M is to map a plan forward. So and we've got lots of calm tools and videos on calm right here on the YouTube channel as well. But so we've connected, we've attuned the heart. Now it's time to sort of help this child move forward. And so we're going to lean on God's truth and we're going to say, wow, you're really disappointed. Almost like we're never going to get to come back again, aren't you? Because yes, I get it. But the truth is, this is a blessing to get to be here at a pool. There's many people who don't get to be at a pool. And so we want to cherish our blessings and recognize them as blessings. So the next time I say it's time to go, here's what you can do. You can say, okay, mommy, I'm really disappointed, but I'm glad we've been blessed with this pool. And now you've given your child a little plan for the future. You're not asking your child to just put a happy smile on and walk away and go, okay, mommy, that's okay. No, we're going to say, okay, mom, because we want our child to agree when we say, hey, it's time to go. But we want our child to be honest. It's okay if your child says, okay, mommy, I'm really disappointed we have to leave, but I'm thankful we have this pool. And that's going to help our kid move forward more. You see, when this 5-year-old was in the car saying, I wish this laptop would get wet, he saw something that was of value to you as a mom, and he was still frustrated. And so he was taking it out that way, which told me we need to do some more heart work back there at the pool to help us have a more successful car ride. Most likely, if we've connected, attuned, leaned, and mapped a plan forward, calm, we're going to have a more successful car ride in the future. That's how we get kids to redo things and we build a plan forward while meeting them in the moment. You've heard me say before, even when we're correcting, we're still connecting. That's what it tangibly looks like. So you go ahead and try that. We only have a few more days of pool weather. Give it a shot. You'll be so glad that you did. All right, let's take a look. Hey, the Stone to Flesh. Thanks for your comment. Let's hear, how do my wife and I not have to tell our 6-year-old daughter multiple times to do tasks? Most of our frustrations derive from this single problem. Even happens when getting ready to go have fun. I hear you. You're like, are you kidding me? We're trying to go do something fun. Right? Doesn't that get a little frustrating in that moment? Thumbs up if you're like, yes, I have gotten frustrated with my kids when we're trying to get out the door for something fun and we're not getting cooperation. So let's talk about this. How do we get our kids to do things and stay on task? It's called cooperation. We're trying to build cooperation in our child's heart. Many of us look at our kids and we think they either are obeying us or disobeying us, right? One or the other. And the reality is a lot of them fall somewhere between there. You know those moments where you're saying to yourself, okay, like she put away her shoes, but like I had to tell her like 4 times. Or like, okay, he took the trash out, but like he rolled his eyes, he mumbled something under his breath. I know it was something mean. Like, do I punish them? What do I do? That's the middle. They didn't exactly disobey because they know just saying no is not going to work. But they're frustrated. They don't want to cooperate. That's called compliance, and we need to deal with it. So we want to help our kids who are just complying to get up to cooperation. And we want to help this little 6-year-old daughter get up to just doing some basic tasks. Part of that is connection. We need to be connected with our kids. We need to be building a relationship with our kids. You know, the boss that you loved working for at one point in your career, you're like, oh, I'd go back and work for her again. I'd go back and work for him again. What was the reason? They knew you. They like asked you about your weekend. They let you go home a little early because you had to take care of something. They understood why you were late that one day when your kid was sick. Like they were connected with you. And we all have that boss like, I would never work for him again. We all have that one too. Because why? They probably were capable of doing the job. And if we looked at them, we're like, yeah, okay, they got the job done. But typically they weren't connecting with us for whatever reason. They weren't connecting. And that's the difference. So if we're going to be talking to our children about getting things done, we need to do that in the context of relationship. Now, hear me correctly. I am not saying build a good relationship with your kids so they get things done. No, build a good relationship with your kid because Jesus has called you to that and because it's great. It's great to have a close relationship with your kid. Get excited about the things they're doing. Invite them into your world as well. That's great. That's the basis for the cooperation we're going to work on now. And to work on that, we're going to have a very specific scripted instruction routine that is going to be foolproof with any kid we work with. And I can say that because I'm going to take this instruction routine right from my friends at the National Center for Biblical Parenting. And they've been working on this instruction routine for like 35 years with like thousands of kids of all stripes and sizes, shapes, stages, ages, everything. And they've all put it through the ringer. And you know, yes, kids with ADHD, kids with ODD, kids on the spectrum. You name the kid with this challenge, and we've had to take a look at this structure of an instruction routine and adapt it to them to help them with it. So this thing's worked with lots of kids. I'm going to give it to you real quick. It's 5 little steps. That's really one big interaction. First thing we're going to do, instead of shouting for your child, your 6-year-old, from across the house to get her attention, get close to her. Get close and notice what she's doing. Get close, notice what she's doing. Because when you do that, you notice things like, oh, she's in the middle. She's almost done with that little book. I'll let her finish the book before I give her chore. Or you might say, oh, she's in the middle of playing that game and she has a hard time getting interrupted with that. And I've got a few extra minutes. So I want her to learn how to like put things down and come. So I am going to interrupt there. I'm going to make that decision because I think she needs that heart training. That's okay. But you're making that decision rather than just yelling up the stairs for her. That feels bossy because we're not taking the time to notice what they're doing and consider the timing of what we're doing. So do that first and then just call her name. I'm going to call your daughter Samantha because that's my standard name. And if I got it right, that's amazing. But I'm just making the name up. Samantha, and that's all you say. Don't say, Samantha, you need to get your jacket to go. Nope, we're just saying Samantha. And Samantha needs to know when I hear my name, I say, come in, Mom, come in, Dad. And I come over to them. When you've gotten close to your daughter, when you've stood in her doorway of her bedroom rather than yell up the stairs for her, you're telling her, I have an important message. That's why I showed up. Again, think of the boss who sends an email saying you need to get this done, BJ. I put it in my list. The boss who shows up in BJ's classroom and says, you need to get this done, BJ. It goes to the top of the list. Why? Close proximity increases the value of what your message is. And so you showing up shows you value the relationship. You noticing what's going on shows you value the relationship, but you're also saying, I have something important to say. That's why I showed up. And just say her name. She needs to put the thing down and come on over. And then here's what you're not going to say. You're not saying, could you please go get ready to leave? or gosh, it'd be ready if you were ready to go. Like those are suggestions, ideas, requests. They're not instructions. Instructions start with Samantha's name again, a very you need to brief statement, and then a word like please or now. All polite. We're not yelling, but something like, Samantha, you need to go get your shoes and jacket on and come back and see me now. You need to is a very important statement for the heart to hear because it puts a little weight on your child's conscience that says you're responsible for something. Why do kids break down in middle school and high school and college with all kinds of stress? Because oftentimes we haven't made them responsible for doing things at younger ages. And so we want to exercise responsibility. We want to give them little moments where they have to do something. You need to go get your shoes and jacket on and come back and see me. Say that as long as you know Samantha, our Samantha here, can actually go do that and come back. If she needs it broken down into 2 separate steps, do it in 2 separate steps. But tell her to go. You need to say it politely. She's going to say, okay, mom, okay, dad, because that's a verbal agreement. That's a little contract that I know you heard me. No excuses if I didn't hear you. And also if she's like, okay, fine. You now have heard an attitude. And so we're going to pause and deal with that attitude. Get her to go off and do it, but tell her she needs to come back and check in. Why, don't you trust her, BJ? Yeah, I trust her. I want to be able to say, great job. And when she runs off to go get her shoes on, you tell her, hey, great job running off right away, Samantha. When she comes right over right away, you say, great job coming over, Samantha. Positive feedback feeds her heart the way it wants to be fed. And then when she comes back, if she doesn't come back, you go find her. But we want her to come back. She's going to say, I'm all done. And you're going to say, okay, let's check it out. And now in this case, you're going to see she's wearing sneakers. You're going to see she has her jacket on. And you're going to say, great job. You're free to go. Or great job. You're free to go. Why don't you meet me at the door? We're about to leave. But that phrase, you're free to go, is important. First of all, by her checking back in, we've held her accountable. By her checking back in, we're able to look and say, yes, this was done correctly, or yes, it was done almost correctly. Here's one thing you need to fix up, but we can keep it positive. But whatever it is, we're going to be able to give her that feedback. And so she understands what thoroughness means. She understands what accountability means. And then when we say you're free to go, we lift that weight we put on her heart earlier right off. And now she feels free, like you do on a Friday afternoon when you finished all the little things on your list and you stayed 10 minutes extra at work so you can get those things done. You get that feeling. That's the feeling we want our little Samantha here to have. You practice that routine a lot, 20 times tomorrow, 20 times on Friday, 20 times on Saturday, Sunday, and suddenly your 6-year-old daughter is going to get a lot better at this. Now, I just gave you the first piece of all this. This is actually just the little, 5-minute snippet I just gave you that actually you can learn a whole lot more about how to implement this instruction routine in your family if you go to JesusHelpMeParent.com/connected cooperation. JesusHelpMeParent.com/connected cooperation. You head there, you're going to see a brand new rebooted mini parenting course I have available. 3 simple modules, all about building connection and building connected cooperation. The first module takes a deep dive on everything I just taught you and then some. The second module actually focuses in on, okay, but what do we do if they say no? Because let's face facts, kids are going to disobey. Kids are going to have an attitude problem. Kids are going to say no. What do we do in that situation? Well, there's some very clear steps we can take to stay connected and still correct our child to go in the right direction. And then the third module is a module that says, okay, let's talk about this in the real world. Let's talk about our kids with big emotions. Let's talk about kids with special needs. Let's talk about kids who come from backgrounds that are traumatic. Let's talk about different ages and stages. And all of that is in module 3. You can get this actually, there's an audio format, which is a little bit cheaper. And then there's a mini course, which is actually very affordable too. But head over to JesusHelpMeParent.com/connected cooperation. You'll be so glad that you did. Stone to Flesh, thank you for your question. Hit the thumbs up button if this answer helped you. And if you got more questions, you can put them in the chat box right now, Or if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and click the link in the form. I'm pointing over here because that's where the form is on my screens right now. And go ahead and put your question there, and I'll answer it in a future episode of Raw Parenting Unfiltered. All right, let's take a look. Thanks for the thumbs up and thank you there, the Stone to Flesh. Here we go. My 8-year-old boy seems to go out of his way to antagonize his 5-year-old brother. Okay, if this sounds like your kids, thumbs up. Let me know. Put a comment in the chat box there. He pokes, teases, or makes little comments just to get under his skin. Of course, then the 5-year-old explodes. He yells, pushes, or hits back. It feels like this constant cycle where the older one stirs things up and the younger one reacts big. How do I break that pattern so I'm not just always refereeing their fights? Ooh, you use one of my favorite words when we're talking about sibling conflicts, refereeing. Let's jump right there. So many times, how many of us feel like we're refereeing our kids' fights? Do you feel like you're refereeing your kids' fights? We need to stop being the ref of our kids' fights and start being their coaches, because we're all on the same team and we need them to understand that. So let's talk about coaching this 8-year-old who's antagonizing his 5-year-old brother through this. So first of all, we're looking at this and we've got 2 kids here. Let's take the 5-year-old first. The 5-year-old is exploding, yelling, pushing back, so we need to give him a little plan. We need to talk to him, have a little one-on-one session with him and say, hey, I noticed that your brother seems to kind of make these comments that get you really angry, doesn't he? Well, let me tell you, did you know that Jesus has a plan for helping you have a good relationship with your brother? And when you have problems, Jesus has a plan for that. Would you like to hear Matthew 18? Oh, okay. Yeah, here's what Jesus wants you to do. Now, Matthew 18 for us adults is actually about solving conflict in the church, but it provides a great model for how to handle it in family life. We're going to adapt it a little bit because obviously we're not excommunicating anybody from the family at 5 years old, but we can still adapt it for what we're doing here. So we're going to tell this little guy, here's what I want you to do. If your brother is saying things that are bothering you, don't yell at him. I want you to use your words. I want you to say, and I'm going to call older brother right now, Jonathan. Jonathan, please don't talk to me that way. Or, Jonathan, I feel angry when you make fun of me. Please stop. Some basic little iMessage that sounds almost like, remember all the like conflict resolution skills you learned in like your premarital classes if you're a married person here. Same language. I feel upset when you, please stop. And it would be great if your brother listens. He might listen. And that means you used your words and you won him over. But if he doesn't listen and he keeps doing this to you, don't yell at him. Don't push him. Don't scream at him. Because all that's going to get you in trouble with me because of what you're doing. You come to me and you let me know. Don't come yelling, mommy, mommy. No, we don't want to whine. You want to come and say, mommy, I'm having a hard time with my brother and I'm trying to use my words. Can you help? And it's okay if your 5-year-old doesn't come perfectly, but we're trying to teach your 5-year-old and any age kid, don't just come yelling and whining. That's not a good way to approach any authority, right? So we're trying to teach them that lesson early, but we're going to understand they're 5 and they might struggle with that a little bit. Come on over and tell me, and then I'll help. Now we've given this 5-year-old a plan for life. Try to use your words. Here's the specific words you can use. And if they don't work, come get me. That's Matthew 18. And if 5-year-old comes over, we're not running in there after Jonathan, our 8-year-old, going, I can't believe you're talking to your brother. I thought I told you. No. We're not defense attorney for the 5-year-old. We are the coach for the team. So we're going to go back to Jonathan and we're going to bring little 5-year-old along. We're going to say, hey, your brother came to me saying he had a problem or something with you. And I know you love your brother and you want to work it out. So I'm going to let him talk and let 5-year-old give the iMessage again. But you see, you're in the room now. So when he says, when you yell at me, I get angry, please stop. Suddenly 8-year-old needs to start acting differently. And so when he says it, we go, oh, wow. Now, sometimes he's got other information about what little 5-year-old did here. And if that happens, we can say, oh, okay. So it sounds like you got some stuff to deal with too here. So why don't you give an iMessage? Like, we're just trying to get these 2 to talk. And we're trying to stay out of it. That's how we shift from being referee to coach. And that's how we give the 5-year-old a plan. Now let's talk about 8-year-old. Let's talk about who we've called Jonathan here and what we can do to help him. So there's a couple of things that are going on. Some things in the moment that we need to deal with, but there's also some deeper heart work that we want to start working on as well. First thing we need to do is we need to call this out. We need to, not embarrassing or anything like that, but just name what's happening. And we need to say to our son here, hey, I've noticed that, there's times where you're playing with your brother. And wow, I am so excited to see you play with him because I see you sharing your toys. I watched you yesterday reading a book to him and it was beautiful. But there's other times where I notice you start teasing him. You start making comments that bother him. And now you're going to make a decision. You might say, can you tell me about that? And see if that 8-year-old offers you anything extra, because that might help you know what's really going on in his heart. Maybe there's something going on where he's not feeling strong enough, or he's not feeling good enough, or maybe there's something going on down there. And you just ask, hey, can you tell me about that? You didn't say it was right. You're just saying, tell me about it. You could do that. You also could just say, that's not the right way to talk to your brother. In our home, we're peacemakers. And you pull out a scripture that talks about being a peacemaker. Pull out a scripture that talks about the power of the tongue, and provide that for your child. Don't beat your kid over the head with the Bible and a Bible verse, but don't be afraid to include it there and just say, hey, the scripture's calling you to this. So here's what that looks like. The next time you start feeling the urge to make fun of your brother, to tease him, to say these things, because something's going on deep down here that you want to do this here. When you have that feeling, I want you to do 2 things. 1, take a break over here, have a seat right here, and pray and ask Jesus to help you with that feeling. And 2, come see me so I can pray with you too. We're going to get Jesus involved here because we want to see some heart change. And now you've given your kid a job. Come see me so we can pray about this. And that now gives you a chance to hear your 8-year-old say, yeah, I think I was doing it because I wanted some alone time. Or like, if you hear that, are you going to parent differently? Absolutely. You're going to try to find a solution for your 8-year-old now. Like, hey, why don't you go up to your room, read your comic books, or absolutely. Things change. Why? Because we have a better plan for this 8-year-old. The second thing we're going to do, notice how we're not consequencing this out of him. Consequences aren't going to get it. Consequences are good. We can use them to help us teach, but we're not going to use consequences to force things out of the heart. We need to train our child's heart. And so giving them a better plan of coming to us is better. Secondly, we want to notice, when does this happen? Is this happening in specific situations? Does this happen a lot of times after school? Maybe our kid's a little tired, a little hungry, a little hangry. So that's hard. Does this happen when they're out in the backyard by themselves, or is this happening more in the playroom? Is this happening over a specific toy? When does this seem to happen? Is screen time really high? Notice those patterns so you can parent differently. If it's like screen time's really high, okay, we're going to cut back some screen time. If it's over a specific toy, that's where you're going to be like a coach, more present in that situation. Coaches don't get on the field and play the game. So we're going to be like coaches. We're not getting in the field and playing the game like we're going to hover over our kids. But coaches go to the games and they root on their team. They say positive things when things are going well. And if things are going sideways, if things are going bad, if the other team's scoring points and running away with the game, coaches pull the team off the field for a minute. Coaches pull a member of the team. Say, hey, get over. Let me talk to you for a minute. That's not working. Let me give you a better plan. That's what coaches do. So we're going to do that in those moments. If we're like, it happens when we're playing Legos. You're going to be a little bit more present. If it's not happening in the backyard, don't worry about the backyard time. But if it's happening in the Lego time, that's where you're going to just kind of be around a little bit more and say really good things when they're doing the right thing. And be very specific. Don't just, hey, good job playing. Hey, great job deciding who gets the bigger green base for the Legos. Love how you guys played rock, paper, scissors to figure that out. Very specific, targeted, positive feedback helps your kids know what they should repeat again. But if you start seeing it go sideways, try to get to it before it gets to this point, before it gets to teasing and making these comments. When you start to see it, call that kid over off the field for a minute. They're not in trouble. Then we're not putting them in a timeout type of thing. We're not yelling at them. We're pulling them over and saying, hey, I noticed that things were going really great there, but all of a sudden, this is what happened. What's going on? See if he can tell you something. And if he doesn't know what's going on, you're going to say, okay, well, here's what you should do differently. Sometimes you got to pull the kid from the game and say, you know what? You've been over here 3 times now. It seems like your heart's having a hard time today. So instead of playing Legos, why don't you go do X? Or instead of playing Legos with your brother, I'm going to get a little bucket of Legos for you. I want you to play it over here in the kitchen. Something like that. But we need to make an audible, call an audible, make a change here because I'm a coach of a kid. I'm on the same team and I want what's best for them. And we're going to keep working on that. All those things are really going to help and go a long way. But there's one last thing you can do that's going to completely change your family's environment. It's called honor. Honor, biblically defined, is when we are doing more than what's expected, treating others as special, and having a good attitude. My favorite story in the whole Bible about honor is the story of Rebecca. Rebecca's in the Old Testament. She's at a well on this one day. She has no plans other than to be at the well. In comes some stranger with his camel and probably several other friends with their camels. And this stranger says, hey, lady, I don't know. That's exactly what he said, I'm sure. Lady, I don't know. Can you get me a drink of water, please? I'm thirsty. And she looks at him and says, oh, you know what? I'll get you a drink of water, but your camels look thirsty too. Why don't we just water all of them? And she goes and she fetches water for all those camels. Fun fact that BJ randomly knows, camels drink 30 to 40 gallons in a single setting. 30 to 40 gallons. If there's 10 camels there, you do the math. That's crazy. I wouldn't want to haul 300 to 400 gallons of water at all, ever, let alone in the middle of the day in some dry, arid environment in Israel. Okay, like, no, thank you. Okay. But she does this. And she doesn't hold a grudge. She just does it to be nice. If that's all the story was about, we would say that's honor. She treated someone as special. She did more than what's expected, and she had a good attitude. Now, here's the fun thing about this one story. That stranger happened to be a servant in Abraham's family. And Abraham looked at this servant one day and said, hey, my son Isaac needs a wife. Why don't you go back to my homeland and go find one for me? And this poor servant's like, sure, no problem. You got it. A-okay. You can count on me. What am I going to do? Right? That's what he's saying. And he prays and he says, okay, Yahweh, let's make a deal here. I'm going to go to this well. I'm going to start asking women to get me drinks of water. And whichever one says they'll water my camels, that's going to be this Isaac's wife. Why does he say that? Because that servant knows any woman willing to water those camels in the middle of the day has a heart that's aligned with Yahweh. They're someone who can serve others and will honor others. So we take that concept of honor. We tell that story to our kids. We pick out all kinds of stories about Jesus and honor, and we start telling those to our kids, and then we send our kids on honor challenges. Hey, let's find a way to honor your mother while she's out right now. What should we do? You know, when your kids, like in the springtime, pick a whole bunch of like weeds that have flowers on, like dandelions, and they come in, look, I picked these for you. That's honor. Treated someone as special, did more than what's expected, had a good attitude. It does not have to be, we painted your bedroom a new color. We cleaned the whole house. You could do that too. Doesn't have to be. Hey, I set the table. Or the table was set and I made little place cards for everybody because we have guests coming tonight. That's honor. Treating others as special, doing more than what's expected, having a good attitude. Start issuing honor challenges in your house towards each other. Start modeling for your kids what honor looks like. And you'll start seeing hearts change because you can't serve others and not start developing empathy and compassion and love for them. That's one of the areas of the conscience. The conscience has 4 areas according to scripture. One of them is being kind to others, empathy. We need to strengthen the relationship between these two brothers. Honor is a huge key factor in doing that. You go ahead and start implementing honor, as well as this whole coaching mindset in your parenting. and you'll start seeing a big change. A lot of this and a lot more you can find in lots of videos here on my YouTube channel, but you also could check out JesusHelpMeParent.com/ from sibling fights to family nights. JesusHelpMeParent.com/ from sibling fights to family nights. It's a whole digital course. It's much bigger than Connected Cooperation that you can use to work on this very issue in your family too. All right. Thank you so much for watching. It is getting close to 9 o'clock, and I've got another family I'm going to be talking to tonight, one-on-one. So I'm so glad I got to be here with you. If you're watching this in the replay and this helped you and you've got a question, go in the link in the description. I'll get it over here, and your question might come up next week when I'm here on Raw Parenting Unfiltered. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.